Three big bad new problems for Obamacare tonight. We're talking big new costs for doctors, that's one. A serious new glitch in the Obamacare website, that's two. And more evidence of a politically toxic insurance company bailout, that's the third. Here now, old friends of the show, health policy experts, Dr. Scott Gottlieb from the American Enterprise Institute, and Betsy McCaughey, author of the book Beating Obamacare. Betsy, you're running a column on this. The bailout story, the profit margin story. What's going on here?
Okay, well, last Friday night after the close of business, in a sneaky and illegal move, the Obama administration changed the rules regarding a bailout that actually was in this law, Larry, Section 1342, but most politicians, having not read the law, didn't know about it until just a few weeks ago. What it did is it's a double deception. It said to insurance companies, you price these Obamacare exchange plans lower than you actually need to cover your costs. We'll bail you out at the end of the year with John Q. Public's money, right? It'll make the plans look successful. It'll make it look like we're providing affordable health care even though we're not. Second deception, they said it was revenue neutral, meaning it wouldn't cost the taxpayers anything. But just a couple of weeks ago, Kathleen Sebelius, Secretary of Health and Human Services, told Congress no one in the administration had ever even tried to calculate the cost of this bailout.
No doubt. All right, so Scott, the profit margins, and I hate this whole conversation because I hate the government telling companies about profit margins, but it's what we have. Profit margins have been raised to 5% from 3%, and the revenue flow has been raised. You can have 20 to 22% can be spent on salaries and public relations and advertising and administration. So they've raised those caps. That is a form of a bailout.
Yeah,
I mean, it's sort of a last-minute thing, but it really is a form of a bailout.
That's right. This is a piecemeal bailout. What they're trying to do is forestall premium increases next year, and they're trying to keep plans from dropping out of this market. It's not going to work because these insurers have to make long-term business decisions. They can't make business decisions, in real time as the administration makes adjustments here. You're going to see premiums go up quite a bit this spring. That's going to be...
How much?
Some of the reports are as much as 50%, but you're going to see at least 20% increases across the board, I think.
Doesn't it? Look, this is the thing. I think the president has destroyed his own individual mandate, but that's a different segment. If you say that I'm going to let you renew your canceled plans, and I'm going to give you first 1 year and now 3 years and now hardships, that costs a lot of money for insurance companies to redo that.
Oh, yes, they prepared a product
That's not cheap.
According to the law. And now they're going to have fewer customers for it because some of those would-be customers are allowed to keep their old plan or not buy any insurance at all.
They were depending on the small group and the individual market moving into Obamacare, and those tend to be healthier customers, better customers. Now that those folks aren't going to go into Obamacare, the Obamacare premiums have to go up quite a bit.
All right, so the next thing that's coming out now, the AMA, which also supported Obamacare at the very beginning, turns out doctors are going to get really hurt on this. People that may not have paid all their premiums, if they paid them at all, the insurance company covers the first 30 days, and doctors have to cover the next 60 days. Do I have that story right?
Yes,
and what's that mean?
This is really a big coming. We had the mortgage crisis, then we had the college loan crisis. Now we're going to have the premium default crisis. And the reason it's going to be so severe is that many of the people who are buying this insurance were bamboozled into buying it. You saw the president on Between Two Ferns telling young people, this is the same price as a cell phone contract. Well, I have never seen a cell phone contract with a $5,000 deductible. The first call is paid for.
Bad debt.
So the fact is, after a month, these young people are going to decide, I'd rather buy a car. I'd rather buy a cell phone.
Bad debt's going to go up substantially among the providers.
You're a doctor. You practice.
Yes.
All right, so what happens? These people could come into your office and they're not going to have any insurance? What do you do?
That's right. The insurance companies have the discretion to pick up the cost. They're not going to do that because they don't care about these networks. Remember also that the copays are very high in this scheme, and these are lower-income beneficiaries in Obamacare. Most of them aren't going to be able to pay those copays. The doctors are going to get stuck with those bills. You're going to see bad debt go up a lot among providers, and providers aren't going to be able to float themselves through that.
Can I ask you just a really dumb question? The doctors' lobbying group, the insurers' lobbying group, the pharma drug lobbying group, all supported Obamacare, okay? In plain Latin, as best I could do, they are all being screwed, and it's just the beginning. How could they have been so stupid?
Okay, well, first of all, the AMA represents only 17% of doctors, and most of their members do not practice medicine. So let's carve them out, right? But the other groups, they were so intimidated by the hardball, Chicago, pointed elbow politics of Rahm Emanuel in the first years of the Obama administration, they just cowered.
We're going to do this, and you better have a seat at the table. If you miss that seat, you're going to get hurt.
You play with us or you're out of the game.
Look, I love greed. Greed is part of capitalism. But didn't a lot of these groups truly, particularly the insurers, maybe drug people too, expect to see 20, 30, 40 million more insured people.
They thought they'd see
an expanded
business.
Right.
They thought they'd see an
The trouble is
market.
no one's signing up.
That's right. And they're also seeing their existing customers become worse customers because they're being forced into insurance schemes where they're not going to be able to be as good customers. They won't have as much money to spend. I think a lot of these decisions get made in Washington by the Washington groups, and a lot of these groups do what they can to increase their stature in Washington, sometimes at the expense of their members.
That's a true point. All right, last one real quick. We're learning now that poverty guidelines in the website are false, and it's a weird story. This year, you're signing up to pay, but you're based on last year's poverty rates. Why
Harry, if that's the only problem they have, they'd be sailing through this.
There's going to be more
such a minor issue. When Zeke Emanuel says the only problem with Obamacare is the website, don't believe it. It's the product.
No, I understand.
That's the problem.
But 70,000 some odd people are going to be affected by that.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's going to be more expensive than they thought.
A lot of people got subsidies that they probably didn't deserve. There's mistakes on both sides of this, and that money is going to be clawed back. At least they're going to try to claw that back.
Can I just ask a question? We got to get out. I need, fast answers. Why is it that everything associated with Obamacare has been bad?
Government is not doing a good job.
Scott?
I think it was too intricate and poorly thought out.
All these brilliant Ivy League eggheads.
Technocrats, they over-engineered it.
Right.
Leshevsky's got the story right. They brought in the scientists, they brought in the PR people, but they forgot to ask the dogs whether they like the new dog food. And that is the best I've heard. I just love that.
Right.
Betsy McCaughey, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, thank you very much. And I'm a dog person. I love my dog. Now, we have the latest on